The Middle East has long been a hotbed of chaos, wars, revolutions, terrorism, and global superpowers clashing. But to write off an entire region as inherently conflict-ridden is lazy. The Middle East wasn't always this way. Today, we're unpacking the historical baggage, geopolitical power plays, and religious tensions that have kept the Middle East in perpetual conflict.
Picture this. Early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire collapses and European powers, Britain and France, swoop in to carve up the spoils. They draw arbitrary lines on a map, ignoring ethnic and religious groups, creating a Frankenstein's monster of a map. Groups who had been at each other's throats for centuries were lumped together, while communities with shared histories were divided. This colonial legacy is a major source of tension, affecting modern-day Iraq, Syria, Lebanon and Palestine. The colonial powers may have left, but their meddling continues to haunt the region.
Let's talk about one of the most intractable conflicts, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. After World War II, the world wanted to help the Jewish people by creating a state for them in Palestine, a land already inhabited by Palestinians. Since 1948, the two sides have been locked in a cycle of violence, wars, intifadas, bombings, and assassinations. Imagine living your entire life in the shadow of conflict, never knowing when the next bomb might fall. Israel, with its powerful military and US support, and Palestine, backed by other Middle Eastern countries, have turned this into a proxy war. Until there's a just solution for both Israelis and Palestinians, the Middle East will remain a tinderbox. This conflict serves as a constant source of instability and violence.
If the Middle East were a milkshake, oil would be the addictive main ingredient. The region sits atop more than half the world's proven oil reserves, making it a high-stakes poker table for the US, Russia, and China. These superpowers use military force, covert operations, and economic pressure to secure their interests. The 1991 Gulf War and the 2003 invasion of Iraq were as much about oil as they were about liberating Kuwait or toppling Saddam Hussein. As long as the world runs on oil, the Middle East will remain a battleground.
Religion, specifically Islam, is often blamed for the Middle East's conflicts. But it's more complex than that. Religion is often used as a tool to mobilize populations and justify political agendas. One significant fault line is the Sunni-Shia divide, rooted in a centuries-old disagreement over the rightful successor to the Prophet Muhammad. This divide has been exploited by regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Iran to fuel proxy wars. From Syria and Yemen to Baghdad, the Sunni-Shia divide has been manipulated to devastating effect. But this isn't just about religion. It's about power, resources, and dominance. Religion is a convenient cloak for political ambitions.
The Middle East grapples with internal struggles, but global superpowers like the US, Russia, and China exacerbate the situation. The US has long been the dominant player, supporting Israel and oil-rich Gulf states, often with disastrous consequences. Russia, eager to reassert itself, supports Syria's Bashar al-Assad and expands its military presence. China uses its economic might to forge ties and secure resources. Imagine toddlers fighting over a playground, with exhausted parents ensuring their kid comes out on top. That's the dynamic in the Middle East. These interventions, justified in the name of stability or fighting terrorism, often worsen the problems. They fuel resentment, empower extremists, and make peace even more elusive.
After unpacking all this, it's tempting to say, well, that's just the Middle East, always at war. But the Middle East isn't destined for perpetual conflict. It's a region brimming with potential, ancient cultures, and people yearning for peace. Achieving lasting peace requires a monumental effort and a shift in how the world interacts with the region. It means addressing historical injustices, supporting grassroots peace building, and investing in education and development. Peace requires active engagement from all of us. Watching a single video won't bring peace to the Middle East, but it can chip away at lazy assumptions. The Middle East isn't defined solely by conflict. It's a tapestry of history, religion, culture, ambition, despair, and hope. So the next time you see a news report about the Middle East, remember, peace is possible, but it requires us to engage, educate ourselves, and demand better from our leaders. The alternative is simply unacceptable.